Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to another episode of SeptumSin versus the World. I am SeptumSin, and Jake is going to be along shortly, but this was due to be out at 7:30, and well, it's a little bit later than 7:30. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go on. Yes, Anderson. How? Yeah, that's a good cat. So I don't know how many people are going to be watching this live. If you are watching this live, greetings to you. And of course, I'll be glad to look at your comments while I'm waiting on Jake to come in. Of course, let's see here. Get this? No. That's fine. So we are, while I'm waiting, of course, we have our new series that's been out. We're about to actually have our third episode go up in a couple of days, which is Heart of the Warrior. All right, let's see here. Oh, hello to you too, sir. John Knight. Jake should hopefully be along relatively shortly. We both had a lot to do, and work has kept both of us a little bit late. Now, he's setting up now, as a matter of fact, so that's going to be great. So, of course, as always, these are impromptu. If you've seen the pictures, it's a little bit of a misrepresentation. I'm actually in the middle of a reshuffling of my collection. Previously, my collection just basically been a shelf that has all of my stuff together in alphabetical order, then TV shows in alphabetical order, then anime movies in alphabetical order, then anime TV shows in alphabetical order. And stuff that I have for pickups is like turned down, which because we've had such a long time between pickups, there's lots turned down. So now I'm actually trying to do it so I've got various genres up there. I'm going to have an all animated, not just anime, but animated section. And I'm going to actually take all of the stuff that I have that is going to be used to for pickup videos, and I'm going to put that at the end of it so that nothing is turned down and they don't get damaged as much. I don't know how many of y'all out there actually have large collections. I know. There are a few people who I talk to who have pretty big collections, and I'm sure y'all know that it goes a long way. Hey, there's Jake.
Hello.
From the Killer Condom talk.
Yes, to show, as I said, my reaction to that movie.
So let's see. I don't know if you got well, you're going to need a working camera for the pickups, but...
Well, yeah. I didn't realize we were already live. Sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure I didn't go too late. Let's see here. So, of course, one of our regulars, Mike McNally's here, and a good evening to you as well, sir.
Hello, Michael. How you doing? Oh, that's too bright.
Whoa. Gonna blind the people watching tonight.
The lighting, but...
So...
Better? Yeah, that's better.
I've been kind of... As I was telling everybody here, of course, I'm reorganizing. So I've actually boxed up every single one of the movies that I have for pickups. Unfortunately, that means that any new pickups that come in kind of are in this weird, disjointed, like, limbo.
Yeah.
And I was going to do them on Schlockaholics, but... that's been kind of unstable as well. So it just built and built and built. So now I asked Diggs, like, hey, want to do an impromptu pickup on Wednesday? Because my Mondays where
Lord knows my pile has been building up too.
Well, this one will probably take it down by a sizable chunk. So,
well, somewhat.
So, but we've got 20. I've got 20. You got 20 as well?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I had no problem doing that. And mine is slightly multimedia. Lots of DVDs and Blu-rays, but there's a couple other fun things mixed in there. So. Yep.
I've got some video games in there too.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them, but some.
Right.
And mine's a good mix. Mine's got some anime. Mine's got some live action. Mine's got some schlock.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have some fun tonight. So, do you want to go first, or?
Sure, I could do that.
Let me get this thing to where it has you, not me, you as the bigger
Right, I kind of
focus.
that did the opposite of what you were going for. So, okay, shoot, that really is bright. I wish I had a
blanket or something over it.
Well, it's too hot. That's the problem. The bulb is so hot. If I put anything, I wonder if I can use. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. That's anyway. Yeah, whatever. I think I had it in the right spot, but
God rays over here.
There we go. Well, there we go. There we go. Okay, and I'm not supposed to lift anything heavy right now, so that was probably a bad idea. But at least now it's not glaring bright.
Hopefully, it's not too terribly heavy. At least
it's a solid thing. This was one that
a quality product. I mean, I got some quality product right here.
Yeah.
See, actually, I think you got yours as well. So
it's still boxed up, but I guess technically I could present that, but it might be more fun to wait until we finally get the friggin' Blu-ray.
Yeah, this is a hint of something to come.
Yes. Hint, hint. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway, so those of you who are regular viewers, I'm sure Mr. McNally and probably some of the other folks that we have are and John Knight's here as well. Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, so those of you who are regular viewers know that here in Central Virginia, we have a really, really, really cool event every year called the Richmond Folk Festival. It's a free music festival. It's not necessarily free once you factor in parking, food cost, and whatever swag you pick up while you're there. But for me, it ended up being a lot less expensive than it would have been because major new health restrictions, which changes a lot what you can eat at a fair setting. But also, I goofed on my purchase plan. I went for the last day of the festival, and my plan was to stay on Browns Island and just watch all those shows. And I decided after the second to last one, I would go do my music shopping, only to find out that the second to last one was the best show of them all. Eddie Cotton Jr., blues musician from Mississippi, he was great. He apparently had just cashed out. Like, I just missed it. And apparently almost everyone had cashed out. And I was left with just a handful of the headlining acts. So I got one of them. But I also got a CD by a group that I just love the name of the group. I don't even know if I've heard any of these songs, but it was there. I wanted music, and I love the name of this group. It's a group called American Aquarium, and it's an album called The Fear of Standing Still. This was not one of the acts that was playing. They just, the local store that does the music booth there is Plan 9, and they always bring an assortment of other stuff. I saw it and I was like, I want to get some music while I'm here. I have heard some by this group. I love their name. I might as well grab it. Whatever. So I don't present a lot of music on here, but every now and then, and I figured I'd go ahead and do both of my pickups from there to kick things off.
Yeah, I'll probably be running upstairs to grab one of my pickups that I left in the bedroom because me and my wife were watching it for preparation. But I'm putting these in alphabetical order. So so I could get a good mix of things.
I didn't really have
So-
them here planned.
So it's gonna be under the letter I. So I've got a little ways. So probably during your next presentation, I'm gonna run up and run back down.
Okay.
But this one's actually my newest acquisition.
Uh-huh.
And this one is a new film by Steve Rudzinski.
Okay.
And it's a film that was within a film. I'm sure you remember Curtains for Christmas.
Yeah, yes.
Well, during Curtains for Christmas, they kept having this cheesy romantic comedy Christmas movie involving a rat called A Cheesy Christmas in it. Apparently, they did make an entire movie in order to do that. So they also decided to sell that cheesy Hallmark ripoff movie as a, just as an extra. And this is called A Cheesy Christmas.
Hmm.
There are a couple of these that really would go on Schlock Talk, and this would have definitely fit well on it. But, you know, I mean, talking rat that would be willing to actually help out people find love on Christmas. And Steve Rudzinski has a lot of quality in his films. I mean, shoot, he won Best Picture at the Versus Awards this year.
Indeed.
Surprised a lot of us that that Shingles the movie won. But for those of you who really like Steve Rudzinski, this is there. I have yet to see a Steve Rudzinski film that I have not said was quality. I have seen at least one of his films that I'm like, but I don't think this one's going to be it. This one might be like a, but you never know. I think this might be pretty good. Now we got a comment here.
All right.
Liam Payne, a member of One Direction, has died at the age of 31 after he fell on the balcony. Ow. That is a sad thing. Well, best wishes. One Direction. I thought that they were older than that, but when did One Direction?
I can't say I'm super familiar, but
I mean, the boy band, wasn't it?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it came out maybe during the early 2000s. Maybe it must have been later than that if he's only 31.
Right.
It's hard to say. Well, I'm going to run upstairs, but you can show that second one off, and I'll probably get back in time to see it. So
Okay. Well, that was kind of odd timing because one of the things that's notable about the folk festival is that a lot of the performers tend to be people who've been with us for quite some time. And that is certainly true of the one person I saw whose CD I was able to get, a guitarist whose career goes all the way back to the 60s, and who has been a journeyman guitarist performing solo and with numerous groups, including the Crickets. He played with Emmylou Harris. He's done a lot. He facilitated a reunion concert for the Everly Brothers and played with them for many years. And this fellow's name is Albert Lee. And his new album's called Lay It Down. And this was, like I said, one of the few that I was able to pick up at the show. He was the third of the 5 groups I saw. He was billed as a rockabilly artist, but he's really more just kind of old school rock. Like there's a rockabilly influence, no doubt about it. But and this album is mostly covers, including the Everly Brothers song "The Price of Love," which is really funny because right before listening to this, I was listening for a week or so. In my truck, I had BR549's "This Is BR549," which also has a cover of "The Price of Love." But this has an original instrumental called Aaron. But you've got Wheels by Graham Parsons, Too Young to Die by Jimmy Webb, Now and Then It's Going to Rain, John Reed, Setting Me Up by Dire Straits. And then Less of Me by Glenn Campbell's a song I wasn't familiar with and I fell instantly in love with. I think he performed a few of these at the show. He also did do one he introduced as an Emmylou Harris number. It was a really good set. I enjoyed it. Overall, I enjoyed going. I ran into some people I knew. It was brilliant weather. I felt a little guilty afterwards when it really clicked in my brain that what was brilliant weather in Virginia was not brilliant weather elsewhere. But yeah, such is life sometimes, unfortunately. But like I said, I'm glad I got to go this year. I would have liked to present a couple more of these CDs, but you know, not a bad haul. And again, you factor in about, I guess these were probably 35 for the pair, I guess, and you factor in food cost. It probably in parking, it probably was a $50 day, but for 5 musical acts in a live venue, that's actually not a bad cost. So pretty cool.
Not bad at all. Yeah, I went ahead and I did some lookup because I was like, I know I've heard that name. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, One Direction from London, Irish pop boy band group, started in 2010, which is probably why I didn't recognize as much, because I'll admit I was getting out of new acts by that time. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, they were popular, so the name was all over, but I didn't hear much of it.
But that is extremely sad, because 31.
Yeah,
that is young, and I mean, a person like that's not even gotten a chance to really live their life. So it's it is really sad to see that. So
people still tell us they're young, and I look right at that we're young, and I look right at them, and I'm like, no.
You're just old. That's why. You think that we're young.
Sometimes, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess the yeah, it is, and also illustrative that you never know what'll happen. Because
exactly, live your life for what you can.
Right.
I mean, I'm going on a trip in the undescribed future, because I'm not going to talk about that on here about when, but that is something I could have saved up and waited for retirement, but you don't know if you're going to see the end of retirement.
The first rule of travel is you don't talk about travel.
So yes, but any case, very sad news. But on with the show. Well, we got a video game.
Oh. And
Vic is going to present.
Highlighted me, apparently.
But I got a video game that is up, and it is a pretty cool one. Actually, I was doing this because, I really wanted to get that 30th anniversary PlayStation, because they had it decked out looking like the original PlayStation 1, but only 13,000 or so that were going to be sold.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was the retail price. I was like, only 13,000.
But no, I would not have spent that much on a video game console. No. So part of it was making sure that you had your card loaded up on the site and everything ready. So to test out the card, I went ahead and ordered a video game, which is the only thing I really got on the sale. Oh, wait, I actually did get one of the controllers, the lower expense controllers. That's still limited, but they're not like as limited as the others. Right. And I'm not paying those $5,000 scalper prices. That's insane. So I went ahead and I got Astrobot, which is an awesome game from what everybody else tells me anyway. Let's see, where is it? There we go. Yeah, Astrobot. So a lot of people tell me that this is a kick-ass game. I really like Astrobot's Playroom, which is the game that comes with the PlayStation 5. It's a kind of a pack-in a way. And it is a platformer, and you play this little robot with which, you run, you jump, and you do the various robot things. And there are lots of little other robots that look like PlayStation characters, and it's really a celebration of all things PlayStation. But
Okay.
I've heard a lot of solid things about it. The other one was very short, but very good. And I've heard this one's also a fairly short and good experience. And in a way, for games, I mean, I have been playing a long game, Baldur's Gate 3, and I have been playing that game for like months. And I have not gotten very far because it takes a lot of time. And what is it I don't have a lot of? Time. So, I thought that would be a kind of cool one because I'm able to like just play it, enjoy it, and just have fun. Sometimes you want a game that you can just turn your mind off and just have some, mindless fun. On to you.
All right. So, next up, we have a pretty cool unexpected pickup that is the opening salvo, really, of something I really need to do. And in fact, earlier, a friend of the channel, Brittany, was talking about manga acquisitions.
Oh,
I
God.
need to work on my manga acquisitions. I don't do it aggressively.
I collect one. I collect Skippy. And that's it.
One that I really, and I need to get caught up on that one. I'm probably several volumes behind at this point. One that I have been wanting to read for a long time. I do collect manga occasionally, but I do most of my reading through what I can get through the library. And an author who is a fairly well-known mangaka, whatever, that is known for at least two particular series. Hiromu Arakawa wrote a series that I have been reading through the library, Silver Spoon, which is really cool. I'm really enjoying that one a lot. One that I have been very frustrated for a long time that they simply don't have. I think there's like a handful of volumes in our system, but nothing, it's piecemeal, nothing one could just start and read. Is the better known Arakawa series, which I had the good fortune finally to start. A little series called Full Metal Alchemist. And these are the so-called Full Metal editions. Nice hardcover editions.
Those aren't metal.
Yeah, I know. They kind of lied about that. But they're really nice hardcover editions. I have been wanting to get these. The series, I think, was out of print, and I think the current printing might only be this version. I'm not sure, and maybe that's why Collections isn't getting it. But they do the hardcover edition of A Bride's Story, so I don't know why they wouldn't for this. I've been wondering where the acquisition. Ironically, I did get these through the library, through the Friends of the Library. These were donated, and I was able to get them for a couple bucks each, which is a pretty good price for these. I was really excited when I saw that. I'm like, mine? This is seriously, the original Full Metal Alchemist was flawed and divisive because of how far it deviated from the manga, but it was still a darn good series.
Yeah.
And Brotherhood is a freaking classic. It's one of the best shows out there. And I've been wanting to read the series from I don't know how long. I'm glad I finally have part of it in the collection. I doubt I'm going to launch into it until I have more of it because I probably want to power through this bad boy. But I was so thrilled I could finally get a foot started down that path,
It's actually one of a handful of series I've read all the way through.
Yeah. There's the Brothers Elric there on the first two volumes.
I'm also probably one of like a very small handful of people that actually did not mind the ending and actually liked the original Full Metal Alchemist movie. As weird as it was.
It was interesting. It was a very different take on where things were going. And they didn't introduce some of the characters that were so fun in the other version. So there
was a little bit of, there were some characters that had longer in the original series versus that, and there were some that were the opposite. So it's kind of an interesting one.
Mace Hughes got short shrifted in Brotherhood. That was one of the few criticisms I have for Brotherhood, was they didn't want to retread all the same story. So they kind of remixed and rushed through much of it.
Oh, yeah.
And Hughes definitely, he still is a great character in Brotherhood. And his, spoiler people, anyone who doesn't know Full Metal, his ultimate fate was still pretty damn poignant in Brotherhood. Oh, yeah. But actually, in Full Metal, we got to spend half the series with him. So...
Ooh, Suzume. I need to actually watch it. Yeah.
I still need to get Suzume. It was a good movie.
I did watch Suzume because I think I watched it for the Versus Awards.
Yeah. I saw it, but I don't have it.
I just finished watching Sailor Moon Cosmic, and then I realized that's not a 2024 thing.
No.
Well. I actually watched it in French, of all things. I've been trying to watch things in French to get immersed in the language of French.
Because nothing screams France like Sailor Moon.
That's kind of cool. I never caught it on Adult Swim originally, but I know a lot of people who did. And Adult Swim is an excellent thing. I mean, I introduced a lot of people to stuff that, I mean... It's kind of sad what HBO did to Cartoon Network. It really is.
Yeah. It's sad what they did to a lot of
things. I should say what WB did, really. Actually, Discover, because Discover is the one that kind of ate WB, even though, not that they were such angels to begin with. But all right, so I got some schlock.
Yeah.
Well, Bad Ben is almost done. Because he's going to end at 15 movies. So I went ahead and got this on sale, which is the 14th movie, Bad Ben Frankenstein. Now, did you watch any of these movies with us?
I watched 2 or 3 of them, and you gave me most of them. I don't know.
Yeah, I gave you one of the DVD sets, I think. And I'm going to tell you, as far as the series goes, I was a big Bad Ben fan. I am now not as much of a fan, but I will say this. The Bad Ben series has some good stuff. I don't think this will be good stuff. I could be wrong, because the formula has kind of changed around since, I want to say since Epitaph. But, Gesundheit. The way Bad Ben is about this kind of crotchety old guy. There he is back there. Who's Tom Riley. And he buys this house on a sheriff's sale. He's going to flip. But unfortunately, the house is haunted. And then there's also the Jersey Devil. As you do with these.
As you do.
Now, the first film is it's mostly a horror with some comedy elements. A la Paranormal Activity. Fairly decent for what it is. Second movie, Steelmanville Road, is his attempt to go full horror. It's a prequel. It's not that good. So you can skip that one unless you really love Bad Ben and you want that backstory. The first film is a must. Then the third film, Badder Ben. That's when they said, you know what, heck with trying to be serious about this. We're going full on comedy. And it's great. It's one of the best movies in the series. It is hilarious. He comes back in there. He's been living in a tent. He's coming back out from that tent in the woods. And that continues with a mostly good for a while. Not until he gets to Bad Ben Pandemic does it really start going downhill. And the formula for Bad Ben up until like in the last 4 or 5 films has been, all right, So we're going to have ourselves wander around aimlessly and have ourselves in some situations that might be somewhat comedic, but we're going to also separate it with a lot of stuff that we use for funding. So we're going to stick in a lot of pictures and a lot of people just walking by, and it's going to be obvious that I'm just doing shout outs because they gave funding for the whole thing, and that's going to pad the runtime of the movies. And that's pretty much what Bad Ben has been since pandemic for the most part. So I'm hoping 15, he's supposed to try and end it with a bang. So I'm hoping 15 is going to be really good. I would definitely, if you haven't, I mean, there's a good like 6 or 7 solid films in there. All right. That's enough of me gushing about Bad Ben.
All righty. So a theme for much of my stack tonight, unsurprisingly, for those of you who've caught our last couple videos, is I'm working hard to convert things in my collection to nice, neat, tidy Blu-ray, smaller sets.
Tidy.
Yes. So the remainder of what I have are going to be Blu-ray or Blu-ray sets. The first one is not so much a conversion as a repurchase. And Brandon, I know, might be upset that because it's one that he gave me, but the copy he gave me, it wasn't lovely. So I had an opportunity to buy a brand new copy for a decently low price. So a great underrated series that was way too long coming here. This is a brand spanking new version of Zoku Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. Really nice and shiny, and because the other one, it had like water damage, I think. But so this is just like a repackaging, I guess you could say. But it's always worth re-mentioning this because it's a great show. Anyone who hasn't seen it needs to find it and watch it. Has some of the best end themes in anime history. And this
Very
one,
difficult to follow, though.
yeah. And this one comes with the OVA Goku Sayonara Zetsuba Sensei. So it's the second season, and then I think the second OVA, because I think the first set did come with the first OVA, if I'm remembering correctly. Do you remember how much further they went with it, or did they go further?
At least 2 or 3 seasons more. I mean, there's at least one more.
We
There's at least
need
one
more.
more season.
Yeah, but
that is actually the very first season of Zetsubo Sensei I ever watched.
Good times.
I don't know why, but the whole episode with the cult at the beginning of that, just to me, it cracks me up to this day.
And for those of you who are not familiar with the concept, I say, and I think his name is Nozomu Itoshiki, if I'm remembering correctly. Yep, Nozomu Itoshiki is the teacher of a class of very eccentric students. Each one basically is an anime trope. And he himself is psychotically pessimistic. His main foil is psychotically optimistic. I describe him as a grown-up Charlie Brown in Japanese clothing because he really is. He is Charlie Brown. It's an interesting show and good times.
Charlie Brown. But yeah, that one I'm gonna say it's one that is not for those who are not really willing to dive in and read because, and I mean that, read, unless you know Japanese fluently, because this ain't going to work if you know Japanese partially. It's going to roll too fast.
Well, it worked for me, but it basically, think of like their equivalent of something like Futurama or South Park or something, where not only are the jokes coming at you 10 a minute, but you've got so much going on in the background. There's so much stuff that's like sight gags that unless you read Japanese, you probably won't get most of those. But there's still enough front jokes.
I'm just saying that those people who are watching without subtitles and just listening to the Japanese, if you only know a little Japanese and you're listening to it that way, you think I can just get the gist of it. That's not going to happen. Yeah. So, but I enjoyed it, and that's there. So it's got there. There was one called Manga Biori that was really good, that had some similar concepts to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's some fun things out there. I love the art style, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Got another video game. Last video game.
Okay.
So I like limited run, but I don't buy a lot of them nowadays. But I saw this, and I thought, this is kind of cool, because they brought back an RPG series that had been, hey kitty, that had been basically stuck on the what was that thing, the TurboGrafx, essentially, but it was the PC engine, and not only stuck just on the PC engine, but the PC engine in Japan. So didn't even come to TurboGrafx, and that is the Cosmic Fantasy Collection. Now, this one actually had the advantage of, I think it was the CD add-on that had it, because you actually had live voice acting. I've heard so many cool things about this series, but I wasn't willing to emulate it, and I wasn't willing to get a see if I can get a good, there it goes. And I wasn't willing to try and get a PC engine to get it. So I really wanted this. I'm glad that I finally own a copy of it. I do want to get in and play it. I mean, the Switch is great. I'm waiting to hear what the Switch 2 is going to be. That's supposed to be soon. I'm hoping they make it fully backwards compatible. I've got a very large Switch physical collection. To tell you the truth, these days, if you're going to go physical game collection, the Switch is the way to go, because they're one of the few that puts most of the game on the disc. Now, there are exceptions to those rules, but it's great for these types of things because they put the whole thing on there. It's not a DLC code, and these cartridges last a long time. I mean, shoot, Nintendo cartridges, there are a lot of them that are still running and kicking these days.
Alrighty. So, if memory serves, the Zetsubo Sensei pickup was one of several that I picked up over the course of the summer. I have very, very mixed feelings about Crunchyroll right now. I do not like what they did with Right Stuff. That is unfortunate. May they rest in peace. But it's still one of the only good sources. It's not as good as Right Stuff, but it's one of the only decent sources for all the majority of anime you can get in this country. And they do run periodic sales, which are sometimes pretty good. And they had a summer sale. And so I took advantage of that time to do a bunch of my conversions and also pick up a few new things. I'm pretty sure everything I brought up from the sale tonight is conversions.
There might be some from that sale online. There's some from another sale, but there are a couple, I think, from that sale on here.
And this one, it's really weird because they apparently, for this edition, they decided to go with original artwork by American comic legend Whilce Portacio. And they say Uncanny X-Men, Iron Man, whatever. It doesn't look at all like the original art, which makes it kind of funky. But I got a steelbook multi-film edition of movies for Naruto.
Nice cover.
It's not a great cover. I mean, it's interesting. And now that I know that it's an American comic artist, it makes more sense.
It certainly is a cover.
Not a great picture of Naruto. Not at all. But it collects the 3 movies from the first series. You got Ninja Clash in the Land of Snow, Legend of the Stone of Galore, and Guardians of the Crescent Moon Kingdom. And it's a nice little slim package. It won't save as much room as I would like because I have a collector's edition of the Legend of the Stone of Galale that is really nice, and I want to keep it. I think I had all 3 of these on DVD, so I'm pretty sure this will take the place of the other 2 movies, so that would still save some space. And it is a steelbook, which is cool. Again, the artwork, not my favorite, but I was like, yeah, okay, that's cheap. That'll save me some space. I should get it. So there you go. Yeah. And in the long tradition of shonen films, these are completely forgettable and don't really advance the plot. Essentially, they're like the second half of the first series, but they're watchable and fun. And yeah.
The first, I liked the snow one. It's, for those people who really liked seeing the original Naruto team.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, that original team, when they always talk about Team 7, Team 7 only existed for a very short time.
Yeah.
It was like maybe for the first quarter at best of the series. And
which is still a good chunk of the first series. But yeah.
But if you wanted to see more of them working together, that's one. And that's kind of cool. I've got them all in special editions, but I think they're all DVD, but I don't want to, give up the second edition.
Okay.
Let's see.
You got a Sergeant Frog anniversary apparently as well.
Let's see. Sergeant Frog, 15th. Let's see. Yeah. Unfortunately, they did not dub all the episodes and they did not release it all. But yes, the series is actually, one awesome thing is in November, they're releasing the last piece, and all of Sergeant Frog will be available on physical come November.
All right.
Pretty cool, because I saw that they were finishing that off, which is great, because other things like Kodacha, I thought Kodacha was going to be destined to only have half of it out. But then that same company got the second half, and now I have a complete Kodacha collection.
Yeah. And Discotek has done a really good job of catching stuff that's fallen by the wayside and bringing in a few things that never got a release here. I was stoked when they put out Kimaguri Orange Road because that was otherwise. Now I'm still waiting. If anyone's watching from Discotek or Sentai Filmworks or Animego, or actually I think Viz Media might have the license for this one. We still want to see a Cheeky Angel get an American release. Yeah. Damn it.
Cheeky Angel definitely needs to.
Yes.
20th anniversary of the Naruto dub. Gosh, I remember watching Naruto originally off of like Rips because it wasn't out here in America, and I was so excited when it was coming to Cartoon Network and it's going to be English dub for the first time. That was pretty cool when we were discussing at the game table.
Yeah.
I had watched all the way through. I think like the what was it? Chunin exam.
Well, I know my intro to Naruto, he showed me the Gaara Rock Lee fight, and that is a classic episode.
Definitely. That is an epic fight. But I mean, shoot, Full Moon. Full Moon will go. I can't do the full, but the Full Moon series finally, where Viz released only half of it, is getting a full release. Also, I've heard that one got a license and is going to be released. So that is going to be cool because I love Full Moon, and I'm glad to see that is going to get a release. All right. And for those of you saying, well, he hasn't presented any anime yet, it's coming. Matter of fact, you're going to get sick of anime after a while because a lot of the alphabetizing kind of left almost all the anime grouped together at the end.
Okay. I didn't want to try butchering it from memory, so I'll butcher it from looking it up on Google. It's Full Moon wo Sagashite.
But it's got some good. I mean, I love some of the stuff. Eternal Snow is still one hell of a
I'm curious about Blue Lock, but not curious enough to get off my butt and do anything about it.
Yeah. There are certain things. I don't take a lot of chances on new series these days unless I've seen it. So, speaking of weird things and chances, I originally participated in a Kickstarter mainly because it had some cool poster art.
Ooh, nice.
And I like weird movies. Hence why I have a copy of Killer Condom. And this was the original art for the film.
Oh, geez.
Crack Coon.
They needed to workshop that title a little longer.
Yeah, they do. There's something that doesn't quite fit well with that. But this one was definitely, of course, this came off the Cocaine Bear craze.
Of course.
And this is the actual Blu-ray. The director has signed it.
Oh.
I had asked, like, oh, I see everybody's getting them, but I haven't gotten mine. It's been a month. And he said, oh, well, I got yours. I'll send it out there. So I finally got that. And I'm happy for it. It's going to be cheese. It's going to be spectacular cheese, and it's going to be great cheese. I like a good aged cheese, and this looks like good aged cheese to me. I mean, I just rewatched an episode of Anhedenia Science Theater the other day on I Accuse My Parents, and they love these things.
Good times.
You know what the sad thing is? You've gotten enough people that you might even know people that are in this now, which is funny as it is.
All right.
There's a lot of anniversaries out here.
Yeah. So I have read Demon Slayer. I have not bothered to read any of it. I've read it. It's good. It's a good series, but yeah. I don't know why it was as popular as it was, but
it's Bamboo Girl the series. Good, great.
Anyway,
she was the wife who everybody was going on about at the time.
Well, yeah, who doesn't want a wife that turns into a demon if you take the bamboo out of her mouth?
Well, I do have to watch it. I actually own everything except for the newest one, which I was like, I am not buying that Aniplex release of that season. And finally, I saw they announced the Funimation or Crunchyroll version of that season. Okay. Which is good. It's actually one of the few I've seen where they have an Aniplex release and a standard release that's like the Funimation / now Crunchyroll at the same time. That's there. Cool. So
I've seen the first season of The Devil is a Part-Timer. That was a fun show. Have not seen season 2.
I'm gonna get season 2 eventually. Yeah. It's just I haven't. I'm waiting for it to get a price cut. All right. So last one before I start getting into. What did you do? You went, right?
You just went. You just went.
You go.
Yeah. Okay.
Get it out of the way.
So my next one is one of the best for my goal of saving space. This is one of the best ones of the night, and I'm actually really excited about this. Apparently, Nozomi, the release company that was Right Stuff's primary release company, and now maybe not so much, was behind this particular release. It originally had, I want to say it was a Bandai release. And I have the big, fat, clunky box that's like this fat on DVD. And so I'm so thrilled at the size of this, which is Martian successor Nadeshiko.
Oh.
Great fun show. Great fun show about it's one of those space opera shows, but a comedy one that actually yielded. First of all, We Get to Burnin' is a great opener. And it was ADV, because you would hear this over and over and over and over when you watch ADV films, anime from the era. You would hear this theme over and over again. But I don't mind because it's awesome. It is fire, which is appropriate. And this also yielded one of my favorite anime memes I've ever seen, which is the captain. And the captain is saying, on this ship, you don't call me captain, or don't say, what is it? On this ship, you are to refer to me as idiot, not you captain. I mean, you know what I mean. And of course, anyone should get that reference. And if not, watch Spaceballs right away. But this is great. And again, saves so much space. When I had an opportunity to pick that up, I was like, yeah.
Does it have the movie with it?
It does.
That is a space saver right there.
Yeah, because I not only am the big hunk of space of the box, but, I don't have to worry about the movie. And it's even better because the movie famously is not as good as the show. But it's still a decent movie. It's just tonally very, 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 very different. It's much darker tonally than the show itself was. Like I said, it's not bad, but I am glad to not have to put a separate spot on the shelf for that one.
Yeah, that's one I might end up consolidating one day because I have both. I have them on DVD and I have the slim pack in a way, but it's not that slim.
Right.
So, last one before I get into some animes.
Oh.
But this is one that we've been watching, and we watched Paris because we're going to be heading there eventually. I'm working on my French, all of that. But no, it's not going to be Dr. Stone. A lot of anniversaries.
I still need to see Dr. Stone, but one day.
But this is a series called I'll Have What Phil's Having.
Oh, I didn't know there was a physical release of that.
So there is a series that Netflix. This actually spawned the series Somebody Feed Phil.
Yeah,
which is a Netflix series about this guy. Phil, who is who's a lead writer on known for Everybody Loves Raymond.
And am I remembering that correctly?
I can't remember and this was the series that kind of spawned that. This was from PBS, and it was and though Netflix, of course, was not going to have physical stuff, and the series is still going on Netflix. PBS was like, yeah, no, we're going to put this on DVD, which is good because it's very hard to find otherwise. So in this one, he goes to Tokyo, Italy, Paris, Hong Kong, Barcelona, and Los Angeles. I pulled this because I wanted to see the Paris episode. And he goes to different places, tries different foods, talks with people. Very, very charismatic individual. You can kind of get his joy is palpable. It comes across as fairly genuine. And it's just in general a very fun travel show to watch. And for somebody that's been kind of dreaming about vacationing since 2022, when I last went, this is actually a great show to watch. If you haven't seen it, I do consider it a little bit better than the sequel series. Somebody Feed Phil. I think this one has a better grounding on it, has a better overall feel to it, but and it feels a little bit more genuine than the other did. But still, it is a great series. If you haven't checked it out, you should. And if you can't check this one out, if you got Netflix, Somebody Feed Phil, still fairly fun travel show.
Well, I remember on the last one of the few proper vacations I've had, where we were at the same vacation. Yes. I remember y'all showed us some of that second series, Somebody Feed Phil. That was pretty fun.
It's a fun series.
Yeah. So my next up, these two are also space savers. One more so than the other, because one of them I have the box, and one of them I have individual DVDs, of which there are 4. They were also Nozomi releases, but again, the original I know is Bandai in the case of this one. We have the original series, Please Teacher. And it's kind of sort of sequel / spinoff, Please Twins. And they're just kind of random comedy, romantic hijinks kind of series. This one, of course, has the sort of extraterrestrial element to it. This one gets into the whole kind of more of a harem feel. They're really fun shows. I enjoyed them. I don't remember a great deal about them. But like I said, saves a lot of space with those Bandai sets because they have sort of a collector's. I item feel to them. I feel a little conflicted about getting rid of them, but I need the space. And
I love my art boxes too much for those.
yeah, but I might as well. See, I think it's Please Teacher that I have like the combined set. And then the other one, I have like the individuals. And I have no problem. Again, the main issue is just because they're rare, they're out of print. Bandai shuttered their American operations, so anything they did is kind of a rarity. But still, that's going to take up so much less on this space on the shelf. Plus, Blu-ray is prettier than DVD, so and it lasts longer. So
I've got my 2 nice art boxes, and I'm happy with that for now.
Good deal.
For now.
All right, and Fire Force, another one I have not seen.
Yeah, Fire Force.
I've heard good things. I've heard very good things. Wasn't Brittany raving about that one?
I don't know. I mean, it's another shonen series that I'm like, yeah, sure.
Well, or like, I know when we did Promare, Fire Force was mentioned a lot.
See, I would have
and John Knight, if you have not seen Promare and you enjoy Fire Force, apparently they're similar.
So now I've got getting into some anime. So speaking of stuff that's not so big for space saving, I went ahead and I've had these for a long time. Okay. I've shown the other sets, but they kind of deviated, and that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I feel bad because I've only watched season 1.
We've seen more than I have.
But this is much further. This is the Golden Wind series. I really loved the way the special edition sets were, but then they went this route.
Yeah.
Which is much cheaper.
Yeah. You mean the ones where you opened it up and it was almost like a coffin? Yeah.
Yeah. Those are cool looking.
Yeah.
These are like, yeah.
Yeah, right.
But, I mean, they're fun series. I really like the first season. I've heard it gets even better with the second season. And that's the one everybody talks about, the Joestar Saga or whatever it was. And the original one is about this guy, JoJo, the original JoJo, and his friend that he grew up with, Dio. And Dio becomes an evil vampire and kind of becomes the somewhat villain for a lot of the series. And then maybe hero, maybe not. I haven't seen a lot more of it other than the like I say, first season, but it covers different generations of JoJos. They're all JoJos, and they all have this special martial arts ability, and they also have this odd, weird grouping of people. I have enjoyed what I've seen. I need to get into it and just go ahead and watch, but I've had this sitting in the pile for ages. I don't even remember when I bought these. But I know that they're the limited editions. And since I've got the limited edition of the first 4 or 5, I need to have the limited edition of this one. So I do have it now. I didn't pay a lot more for it because I got it around the time it came out.
Okay.
But still. That's how I'm consolidating. I guess you could say I'm consolidating in the pickups because I'm counting the part 1 and part 2s as one pickup.
All right. So my next one is one that I have had for a long time, and it's one I have not seen yet. It is pretty much from the get-go was a Nozomi release. I don't think any other company did it first. And I picked up the DVD on sale ages ago. And I was like, I'm going to convert it to Blu-ray and save myself some space. One day I'll get around to watching this. It's a show from A1 Pictures. And it certainly has pretty art. It's one I've been wanting to see for a while. It's called Sound of the Sky.
Ooh.
And again, I don't really know a whole heck of a lot about this. I know it's a military-themed show. It's like I said, it's supposed to be good. It has really great art. A1 usually does really good animation. I'm interested in seeing it one of these days. But like I said, it saves space. might as well do it. Yeah.
Well, we're not done with the JoJo yet.
Mm-hmm.
See, now, one of the things that did worry me is that the Netflix, which usually when Netflix gobbles up an anime, it never gets a physical release because they buy up the physical the release rights and then they keep it from getting a physical so that you only have one way of watching it. So they had they helped fund the new season of JoJo, which was Stone Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
But I then saw, oh, you know what? There. I did saw part 1 of Stone Ocean come up. And I was like, holy crap. They're letting this come to release. Because it really irks me when you get most of a series, but then a season comes out and you can't get it physically.
Yeah.
Tiger and Bunny is another example of something like that. Netflix funded that new Tiger and Bunny series and never going to see physical.
I didn't know there was a new Tiger.
Yeah, there is more Tiger and Bunny.
It's been out already?
It's been out.
Oh, I did not know this.
But I've heard a lot of good things about Stone Ocean. I've heard it's a very good season. Of course, I still have to watch the rest of JoJo first before I get to it. But I do want to keep getting it until it's all collected.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like One Piece. I've almost gotten to the point where I'm giving up watching One Piece until it's done. And I might just sit down and watch it for a couple of years, and then then I'll finally be done with it.
Yeah.
But they actually did finish Stone Ocean as well because they finally released the second part of it not too long ago.
Cool.
And again, they're keeping this format, but you know what? I'm just glad that it got a release.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I've got it physically in the collection. It's going to be there with the other ones, kind of looking awkward because it's very different from the others, but hey.
Well, it's not
there.
It's not as awkward as my incomplete JoJo's collection.
And they did a like a basic release of the first season on DVD, which was there. The only one that they need to re-release is they need to re-release the OVA.
Right.
That one is majorly out of print, and you can get most of that cheaply, but there's one part that's like $100 and some or something. So, good luck at that.
So, speaking of fairly basic releases, this is a fairly basic release. The next one that I'm going to do is also a Nozomi release. That also is a show that I had on DVD, and now I'm converting it to a Blu-ray, so it'll save a little bit of space. But this one had a much longer history for me. It's a show that I originally had a burned copy that I don't know if, I think you provided me with the burned copy. And I had it way back when I was living up in the mountains waiting tables. Sometimes at night when you're waiting tables, you come home, you need something where you can just check out and have fun. And this was also during the time where I was drinking a lot more, and it was during the time where he was trying his best to turn me into an anime fiend. And so drinking and watching a fun, silly anime after a hard day's work, it worked. It was nice. So I have tremendous nostalgia for this series. And I actually bought the individual DVDs. I think there were 6. And then I converted it to the one DVD set. And now I've converted to Blu-ray. A show originally called 2x2 equals Shinobuden. And then released as Ninja Nonsense, The Legend of Shinobu. Or as it says on the back, this is the story of super handsome Onsakamaru, beautiful girls, and their animated adventures of love, lust, and tears. Basically, it is a weird show. It is a weird show. It definitely is a little bit fan service heavy, but it's not so much heavy on the fan service as it contains super perverted characters. Luckily, the young lady there with the bow and the green hair, Shinobu's sister, is there to put them in their place. And actually, the blonde is Shinobu's best friend, who also is sort of the calm voice of reason. Shinobu herself is a ditz. She and easily manipulated by Onsakumaru, who is that weird little yellow ball.
And I love the claymation, like or
Yes.
stop motion ending theme.
The ending, Kuru Kuru Rin is one of my all-time favorite anime enders, and they do have a weird sort of popsicle stick animation that's hilarious and wonderful. And this is not a great show by any stretch, but again, my nostalgia for it is immense, and it helped turn me into an anime fan, for better or for worse. But again, also it helped keep me sane when I was waiting tables, and that there's something to be said for that. And again, it was overdue for a Blu-ray conversion. I'm glad I finally did it. Yeah,
I ended up finding it originally on an illegal streaming site. Well, not streaming, download site.
Right.
They didn't do the streaming back then. And it wasn't licensed at the time I originally saw it and watched it. I remember that because I subscribed to the site and I was like doing things alphabetically. And of course, they start with numbers. But I need to upgrade to the Blu-ray. I just haven't. I haven't had a good opportunity to just say, "Oh, I've got the money at the time it's on sale," and grab it.
Yeah.
They had one set that had one of the funny headbands on it, and I wish I had gotten that because I like the headband. But this next one is one that I got mainly because Crunchyroll says that it's out of stock and out of sale, and Dave wants us to cover it for next month's anime anticlimax, and that is Kabanari on the Iron Fortress.
Oh,
now, this is this thing that he picked up at Big Lots for $5 somewhere. I looked at Big Lots, I couldn't find it there. I don't know anything about this series. I'd never heard of the series before Dave had brought it up.
I've heard it.
What's that?
I said I've heard of it. That's about it.
And I guess I will be seeing it sometime in November, provided that time is available.
Okay.
So that is 12 episodes, so it's not too bad. That should be doable. But I guess go Dave for getting me to get an anime I'd never seen. I mean, I purchased this for $20. It wasn't that bad a price. It's still on Amazon for about that, I think. So, it's not terrible.
Maybe I need to grab it, I guess. All righty. And now for something completely different. And this is also a conversion, but we're getting out of anime for a bit and back to live action. Unfortunately, I did not jump on Shout Factory's Shocktober sale this year. I've been doing it the last, 3 years or so. But to be honest, right now, I feel, one, I'm not spending as much as I was on media. And two, honestly, I'm losing track of what I have right now. It's one of the reasons why I'm glad we're making such a big dent on our pickups so I can get some things in order. But I'm really starting to lose track of what I have. So I was like, I could build an order and risk half of them being duplicates, or I could just sit this one out. But Shout has had several periodic sales through the year. And one that has come up a couple of times that I have on DVD. It's a movie I never actually saw, but I got it on DVD really cheap. And I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and convert this to Blu-ray. Why not? It'll save space and screw it. It's the Shout Select release of Snow Falling on Cedars, which is stars Ethan Hawke. You've also got James Cromwell, Richard Jenkins, James Redhorn, Sam Shepard, Max von Sydow, music by James Newton Howard. I mean, this is a pretty freaking good pedigree here. Scott Hicks production, basically. Has decent bonus features. That's not always the case with Shout, but their select series, they usually have a few bonus features. And I figured, what the hell? I did again. It went on sale 2 or 3 times before I finally grabbed it, but I finally grabbed it. So maybe one day I'll finally see it.
See, I do usually participate in the Shocktober sale, but right now I'm kind of like strapped for cash, so I'm trying not to. Even a lot of these pickups.
Didn't it end today? I think it ended.
Yeah, it ended today. And what I'll do is I'll peruse it and I'll say, okay, there's some movie series and there's some series that I need to finish. Yeah. And if it's something I need to finish, I will bite. But otherwise, I am there. Since there wasn't anything I needed to finish or anything else, like, oh my God, if this goes out of print, I'm going to like, is there like, I'm still debating whether I'm going to get Joker 2 on Steelbook. Because if I'm not getting it on Steelbook, it'll remain in print on physical forever and a day. So I'm not going to miss it anytime soon.
Right.
I did have to bite on Wolverine and Deadpool because I've got the first 2 Deadpools on Steelbook, and that one I do want to make sure is on Steelbook.
Yeah, so, that one's more likely to get snapped up, I would think.
Yes. So, I've got that pre-ordered on Steelbook.
Cool.
But the next thing none of my stuff that I've got left here is Steelbook. I have 3 live action left out of what's left, and everything else is anime.
Okay.
But we've still got a couple left before we're gonna get into that live action stuffs. Okay. And they're kind of spread out at the end. So one that's kind of I feel almost embarrassed showing it, but it's one I got the ONA, which that got kind of out of print, and I was like, okay, I want to complete this, and I have some pleasant memories as being a horny 20-something-year-old watching it, and that was Kiss Sis, the TV series. I have the ONA, which is a lot raunchier, and essentially it's it's the whole stepbro thing where you've got these 2 sisters. They're both in love with the same stepbrother, and they both basically try going for him for most of the series. The stepbrother is kind of a meh person. I don't know why they're interested in him, but that's what they are for stand-ins. Yeah. This is a very raunchy series. I would not recommend it to anybody unless you are, a kind of an anime horn dog person. For me, it's more because of nostalgia for it. Because I kind of got out of those series. So I don't watch a lot of new series that are like that. But if there's one that I thought that I kind of enjoyed when I was younger,
right?
Like, Shuffle, or what was that one about the guy who's allergic to girls?
Ninja Nonsense.
Ninja Nonsense. Well, that one's not as horny. It's more of a comedy that has those elements in it.
And it does make fun of the horny characters.
And of course, Shinobu has actually got a little crush on her friend.
Right.
So, but still, I don't think I ever watched the TV series. I watched the ONA when it released. So I'm curious. I put it on when I'm like home alone one day and just watch it. Just as a kind of nostalgia ramp. Actually, considering Discotech's the one that released it, I guess it is nostalgia.
Yeah.
They are the kings of nostalgia after all, but that's kind of my like, I'm not even sure I want to show this one.
So, I too am going to take a trip down memory lane, but a very, very different memory lane. Because this is the kind of conversion I love, is when I could take 3 of those goddamn flipper DVDs and turn them into a single Blu-ray.
Woo!
Or a single Blu-ray set, at least. Much nicer on the shelf. But when I was in the 90s, pretty much were my teens, essentially, and or going into the teens, essentially going into the teens. So mid to late 90s, I was really big into a handful of authors, And one of the big ones that I was really into at the time was John Grisham. And even now, Grisham is my go-to for a breather. Like, I read all these really dense, heavy books. Sometimes I just read the friggin' Lord of the Rings for And then one of the ones I followed it up with was the newest Grisham book, Camino Ghosts, which I absolutely love the Camino series. But the weird thing is, up until I think it was Runaway Jury, it might have been Rainmaker, but I think Runaway Jury came after. I read every one of his books, and then I didn't read another one until I started working with books for a living. And now I've read a lot of the recent ones. I still haven't gone back and filled in that gap. But anyway, so in the 90s, he was the guy, one of the guys. He was one of those people that they were falling all over themselves to make his books into movies. And this collection contains, bar none, the two best from that time period, and a third one that's pretty good. And it's a 3-pack that features A Time to Kill, The Pelican Brief, and The Client.
Ah, good one.
Of course, the Time to Kill was his first novel, and it is probably his best book. And the movie is the one that really put Matthew McConaughey on the map for most people. And it kind of came along and reminded everyone who did not see Pulp Fiction or who missed him in Jurassic Park who the hell Samuel L. Jackson was. It's a really, really, really good movie. Solid performances. One of Joel Schumacher's best. He also directed The Client, which, Susan Sarandon, Tommy Lee Jones. And earlier in the discussion, we talked about people dying too young. Brad Renfro, was he in the 27 club, or did he not even make it to 27? I can't remember. He died young. But his first role was as the kid who witnesses a mob hit in The Client. And then the movie was so successful, it spawned a TV series that I really enjoyed and only lasted for like a season. And then, of course, Pelican Brief, you got Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington. Good book, good movie, kind of forgettable compared to the other two. But again, that versus 3 of those damn flippers, I'll take this any day. And it wasn't that expensive either. I think it was like $10, maybe 12.
I think I only have a time
to do that. What's that?
I think I only have a time to kill out of those 3.
Yeah.
So.
This will be a good one to pick up. Yeah.
So one series I know we both collect is a Idol series called Love Live.
Yeah.
There's a heck of a lot of loose pieces to that.
There are, yeah.
Now, the good thing is that most of them are self-contained stories. Mm-hmm. So, you can get one Love Live series. I would say getting the original series is a good idea because that's what all the others spawn off of. Mm-hmm. But a lot of it's about these girls trying to save their schools, performing an idol group, essentially. Mm-hmm. So I have looked around. I was on the Amazon Prime Day sale.
Okay.
And they had a Love Live on sale that I had forgotten about existing.
Okay.
So there's 3 seasons to this series. Only one of them has been released on Blu-ray as of yet. And that is Love Live School Idol Project Superstar.
Oh, okay.
I'd never heard of this one.
I've heard of it.
So recently. I had thought, the other one, the one that starts with N, was the last one, but I was wrong.
Is that Nijisaki something?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I completed that one, but no, there's another one. Then there was Golden. Then there was the original. Then there was the movie. God, this is so much Love Live.
I've still only seen the first series in the movie, but it is so much fun.
I've seen Golden, and I haven't seen. But I've got a whole bunch of Love Live, and eventually I've just got to do a Love Live marathon or something and just watch it all. Maybe when this completes, because there's 3 seasons of it. I haven't seen anything else Love Live on ANN, so maybe once those complete, maybe they'll be done with it, or they'll come out with 15 other series. I don't know.
So my next one is like the rug in The Big Lebowski. It really ties the room together because it ties together conversions and condensation. In this case, 4 separate DVDs into one. It brings in horny teens and movies about or stuff about horny teens. And it brings together series that for some people are guilty pleasure and for some people are nostalgic as hell. And this one is nostalgic almost to the point of painfulness for me. And it brings together stuff that streams that, my God, I want to see the physical release.
Horny nostalgia. Let's go.
I've been a little housebound for much of the last week, and I finally got back onto Hulu and started rewatching Only Murders in the Building. And I got up to season 4 where they introduce the cast that plays the cast in the movie version. And it features the central adult star of this series. There are multiple stars and multiple adult stars, but like the central one who's in all the movies. And if you haven't figured from all that rambling mess, I'm talking about the American Pie 4-movie collection, which features American Pie, American Pie 2, American Wedding, and American Reunion.
That is horny nostalgia.
It is so much nostalgia here. And it's maybe not the best movies in the world, but damned if I don't love them. I had the biggest crush on Michelle Flaherty. She is still my major nerd crush. I was, of course, referring to Eugene Levy, who plays Jim's dad in the series. You got... this series pretty much put Jason Biggs on the map, as well as Allison Hannigan, who plays Michelle, Chris Kallan, who plays Oz. You got a number of folks in there who, some of them went on to bigger and better things, some of them not so much. You also had Jennifer Coolidge in her famed role as Stifler's mom. And American Reunion hit me with a painful stab when Jim is taking a high school girl home and Wannabe comes on the radio and she goes, "Oh, I love this. I love classic rock." No!
And actually, it hits even harder because those came out around the same time both of us were around that early college, late high school.
Class is my class.
So yeah,
that's as close as I'm going to say to it. These people are my age. This is one of the reasons why Reunion was so painful. But it's great fun. And again, like I said, that takes up so much less space than 4 friggin' DVDs. So when I saw this, I was like, I have got to get this. Not only that, it's got a lot of bonus features on it. So I'm going to have to check those out one of these days. This might be a contender for next year for Movies Galore when we're talking about our franchise ideas.
So then get somebody to follow up with the offshoots. Actually, I didn't mind. They're kind of just fun watches.
Right.
Except for the last one. Girls' Rule sucked. Fuck it. But that one was an interesting one. Now, you know what? You want to know another series that did that to me? Like, get me aged? Scream.
Yeah.
Because that was my class. And I'm like, oh, good Lord. Because their senior year was my senior year. Yeah. Because I remember us hearing about that in that Red Right Hand song. Coming out,
which is featured in pretty much all the films, I think.
And I was just like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
And then you look at Sydney. I'm like, "Yep, that's."
But actually, I mean, you're talking about like the music nostalgia is also a big part of it.
A lot of
the music nostalgia is like, ooh.
So,
yep.
Some of you understand that I've got to be. I still have that feeling, that urge to collect stuff.
Mm-hmm.
From certain areas, and I have to get it as it comes out because some of these things go out of print. And they go out of print too soon. And Lupin is one that when it comes out, you either take a chance or get it as it comes out. I get it as it comes out because I just want to make sure I've got all the, if an American release of Lupin is out, I want to have it.
Right.
Unless it's that one DVD release of the second season that they ended halfway and is super expensive, and I don't need it because I have another release of the second season,
Mm-hmm.
which also has several out of print parts to it. So another one came out, and it is back in print again. It went briefly out because I guess over ordering, and that was Discotheque and Eastern Star seem to be releasing a lot of these Lupin specials, and that is Lupin the Third Italian game. I really need to get an excuse to sit down and watch a lot of Lupin. I've watched a good number of it. We've covered Green versus Red, or Red versus Green, one of those. I think it's Green versus Red.
Yeah, it is.
In our Anime Anticlimax. And I've got, like I said, I have pretty much every Lupin special and series that was released on physical here in the United States. And so I have to keep up with it. But I've only watched maybe a third of it. So I really need to get in there.
You're doing better than I have.
But I've got one of these days, once my whole collection is situated and it's all redone, I'm probably going to go in. One of the first videos I'm going to start doing is I'm going to do some collection videos. Like I've already taken my Woody Allen films and I'm putting those in a section because I'm realizing, wait, you've got all but one of every film. I mean, of all the films that Woody Allen's directed, you've got all but one, and that one hasn't been released on physical yet. So why not?
Why not?
Section, Well, you think about it, you own everything from a director, and it's like 50 films. I mean,
right.
Yeah. So, quite fun. There's going to be a Lupin section in the animation section of my collection. I guarantee you that.
Okay. All right. Speaking of an absurdly large franchises that have had a less than easy road to physical release here in the States. One that I have hardly any of, and I really want to, and I've seen bits and pieces. Like I think we probably watched a few episodes with our gaming group, I think. And this may actually be the only piece of the anime I have. I would need to double check. But Shout did a sale recently. I think this may be the sale that preceded the one where I got Snow Falling on Cedars. I know it was one where that was offered. But I think I did like 2 or 3 rapid fire purchases. Like sometimes I'll do that for reasons. Instead of doing one big purchase, I just fire off several. And I did that this time. And I think what I have here is mostly one of these purchases. And this one happened to have a bonus feature, which was a poster. I forgot about the poster. I forgot about the poster, and I came home and I'm like, why'd they send me this big friggin' box? But I don't know if you can see well enough to see what it is.
Yeah.
It is Gintama, the very final.
Yep.
Which is obviously a movie in the Gintama series. Do you know if this is indeed the very final or if they were just joking around? Because I know they were kind of jokey.
You have to ask Brittany. I think the series is done.
And like I said, the release of this has been so haphazard.
Very piecemeal.
Sprout released this. That's how haphazard it is. But it's nice. I got it. I'm glad I got it. I'll look forward to sitting down and watching it one of these days. Because what I do know about Gintama is that I think there was an earlier movie that supposedly was really, really serious. Most of the show, not so much. And I think
the movie was serious, and that's the only one I've seen.
So this, if I recall correctly, it's set in the Edo period, and it's about a bunch of mercenaries, right? And their dog, their little dog too. And it's supposed to be a lot of fun. I don't know much about this particular film, but I couldn't pass up a chance to snap it up. And getting the poster was a nice bonus.
The series, now I've read a lot of the manga, And the manga is very different than the anime. And the manga is basically a Kenshin parody.
It's basically what?
It's a Kenshin parody with sci-fi elements.
Okay.
Because aliens have taken over, and it's odd. So I've got an animated, but not anime. This one I couldn't resist because it was super cheap. And that was the first season of My Adventures with Superman. It was like $5 for the first season. And I couldn't resist because it's actually a very quality series. I've seen a few episodes of it. It kind of almost goes Magical Girl with Superman. But it is a really good series. I mean, they've missed out on a couple of things. Like, Lois, they really missed out on making her kind of a non-binary character. I think that would have been pretty, because of the way that they designed her. And the reason why they designed her, like, she's Asian in this one. But, I always thought I was like, that would be a good time to make the character non-binary. But, toss those bones out there. But otherwise, though, I've heard it's a really good series. It does some pretty good work. The animation quality is really good. And I liked it with what it is. I mean, you got the new Lois, the new Jimmy Olsen and all that, and they kind of race swapped them there. So like I say, I mean, they could have done more making, like I say, could have made her non-binary and really hit it. But it is kind of still a love story. And I do look forward to rewatching a good portion of this and watching the rest that I've missed on this, because this is one I feel like was a banger that kind of flew under the radar for many people.
Okay. So Supergirl wasn't the only time they race swapped Jimmy Olsen?
Nope. No, not at all.
Okay. All right. Well, one day I'll get back to watching that series again. I was watching it a bit at a time. So my next one is going to be a bit odd because it's a horror movie that I don't know if Brandon has. So it's kind of out of nowhere. But
it's not Killer Condom, I know that.
Yeah. Well, there is sort of a sexual component to it, but it's the reverse of the condom in many senses, because it's about what happens when you don't use one.
Or a raw dog?
So I had a handful of movies that I picked up just because they were really cheap. And actually, the Gintama one was this too. Shout does their it was a going out of print sale. That's what it was. Going out of print sale.
Yes.
And they've done those a couple of times recently. And this one is a horror movie called Shelley. About a couple who are unable to have a child, so they let their maid carry one for them, and it does not go according to plan.
That sounds like a Lifetime movie.
What's that?
It sounds like a Lifetime movie.
From what I know of this, which is not much, I'd be surprised if they put it on Lifetime. Well, then again, the maid is an immigrant, so I guess that does make sense, doesn't it? I cannot. I'm probably going to step on some toes here, but I always think it was Family Guy, where they had the commercial, Lifetime, television for idiots. But I don't know. Anyway, I have no idea if this is any good, but it was cheap. It was going out of print. And every now and then I do like to try something different. I am not a fan of gore, and I'm not crazy about possession films, which I think this is supposed to be. But I don't think it's supposed to be all that gory, so it could be worth a look. And again, I just like screwing with Brandon by getting horror films that I don't even think he knows.
Well, I know of it, but I've never seen it. I can't watch all of them. I'm not Dave.
Now, if Dave has never seen it too, then that's even crazier. I don't know. Then again, Dave has his own kick, and I mean, he was raving about killer condoms, so you know.
So I also have horror movies that you haven't seen.
Well,
That's
yeah.
that's not as hard a
No, that's not as hard, especially since your wife is a horror fiend and I am not.
So a long time ago, there was this thing on Facebook that kept advertising this Friday the 13th fan film.
Ah,
And I'm like, okay, I'll give to the Kickstarter eventually. And then I forgot about it. And as it happens, then finally they finished it and they brought it out. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. And what we're looking at is the Friday the 13th fan film. Oh, Neon Fear. Now, this is a kind of a Friday the 13th taking place in sort of a cyberpunk universe. I got some of the filmmaker signatures on it. It's hard to see with this thing. Oh, let me just take this off. Heck with it, It's not like this thing is going to break real easy. This is kind of a cheaper cover print, but, I understand because I have made these and distributed personally myself. Never again, now that I've discovered Konaki. But yeah, cutting them is really difficult when you're doing it yourself. And, you got the signatures there. And of course, you see that's actually a fairly good print right there. Got the little got that nice little note, and I got a sticker.
Nice.
Let's see. Is this a DVR? Yeah, DVR. As you expect from low budget cinema. But I don't know. They're kind of hit or miss. I mean, there are a couple that I really like Alone in the Woods. I can't remember which one that is. Wampum Stompum Films did it. And then there's Vengeance, which Jake did watch with me.
Yeah.
What was it? Those millennials giving away a perfectly good car. So like, throw away a good car.
Throwing away a perfectly good car. Yes.
Well, it has some of the higher body counts of any Friday the 13th film. It was great. So I do look forward to this. It's kind of cool to see like a little futuristic Jason. I need to get in some more horror. It's just been a kind of a busy October, and it's been flying by. It's weird. October's been flying by and sluggishly moving by at the same time. So it's kind of weird how that has been. But I am looking forward to checking that out. That's going to be there. Matter of fact, for those of you who are worried about low budget, there's only one more low budget feature left in my stuff, and there's only one other live action left in my presentations.
All right. Well, you put me in a quandary here because I was getting ready to get into a groove. And then, you made me decide, have to debate whether to move some stuff forward a bit. I'm going to go ahead and stick with my groove, but I will be coming back to that in a minute. So, first up, the next two are also from the Shout going out of print sale. They were both very cheap. Both of them I passed up the first time, and then the second time I was like, I can't pass these up. They're cheap and they're going out of print. And these are both critically acclaimed films that have been on my radar for a while, and I just have never gotten around to watching them. So I decided I've got to get them, and now I can never get around to watching them, but at least they'll be on the shelf. And the first one stars two brilliant actors, Patricia Clarkson and Ben Kingsley, and it's called Learning to Drive.
Well,
and if I remember correctly, Kingsley basically plays an immigrant taxi driver who's teaching a New Yorker who has never learned to drive.
Man, I want a popsicle now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's supposed to be a good movie. I had intended to watch this on its release, and it slipped through the cracks. And this was either $8 or $9. And again, supposedly going out of print. I'm like, I need to snap it up. Now, at least the option is there for me to pop it in at any time.
That's probably a pomegranate popsicle too. Yeah,
It could be.
pomegranate with some like maybe like some vanilla ice cream in the middle.
I've had
Ooh.
pomegranate popsicles if
Oh yeah,
I believe they're pretty
that'd
good.
be really good. Like tasty,
Yeah.
like sort of like a creamsicle, but with pomegranate instead of
Right.
That's what I latch on to, not the actual.
Yes. Nice to know that
He stoked my interest in popsicles. So the last one, of course, I'm going to have to end on Amityville. As anybody else knows, I am one of those people who obsessively collects these Amityville movies. So when one comes out, I have to grab it because these do go out of print very quickly. Not all of them, but a good number of them do because they're usually very small groups that release them.
Right.
Matter of fact, on this channel, I'll even make an announcement since no one's watching. I actually have officially been officially been hired to create a short film for the second of the Amityverse trilogy of movies that SRS is releasing.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to be paid to do an Amityville film, which is a short film, not feature. So don't worry about that. But I'm hoping to get it written up and get Jake in it. So which I'll pay, which I can pay Jake for it because when I get paid, I can give him part of the proceeds. So so we actually can. He can say he's been paid to act in a film, and I can say I've been paid to direct.
I was paid for my day on Major Pain.
Oh, there you go.
I think that was the only time.
So the one I've got here is a Jeff Kirkendall film called Once Upon a Time in Amityville.
Okay.
It's an Amityville Western. That makes sense. But you know what? None of these Amityville films make any freaking sense. I mean, I did Amityville webcam for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, though? I'm going to keep collecting these until they stop making them. And I have a section in my new Blu-ray DVD stuff that actually is all Amityville so I can keep them all together. And it's a sizable piece. Yeah, I've got one for Amityville. I've got one for Alice in Wonderland. I got one for RPG stuff. I got one for video game related stuff. Just some fun stuff that I like having groups of films in. And unfortunately, Amityville is one of those I have a large collection of.
Okay. Now you said the last one. That's not your last one, is it?
Well, the last live action.
Oh, okay.
Last low budget live action.
Okay.
I've got one more live action, but it ain't low budget.
My last one of the current groove that I was on was another one that I've been wanting to see for a minute. And this is a movie based on an actual figure named Ralph Waldo P.D. Green. And it's called Talk to Me. Features Don Cheadle as Green. You've also got Chiwetel Ejiofor, Cedric the Entertainer, Taraji P. Henson, Mike Epps, and then Martin Sheen for reasons. And it's directed by Kasi Lemons. So an actress turned director, which is kind of cool. You actually do have some bonus features, a little featurette about the actual individual, apparently. This one, like Learning to Drive, it was one that I've been wanting to see for a while. It was dirt cheap. It's going out of print. I had to snap it up. And I'm glad to finally have it. Maybe this time I'll finally get around to watching it.
Yeah, Kino's been having another sale too around this time.
Right.
But that's one I also avoid because that's one I will pick up random stuff.
Yeah.
Those prices, the Shout Factory sales, some of them are somewhat cheap, but they rarely do dirt cheap on the Shocktober.
Right.
But however, Kino does. Kino will do 5 to 10 on some of their Blu-rays, and that's like, okay, I want to try this for 5.
My Kino orders, I would say the items average more like 10 to 12. Yeah. It's rare that I see a $5 offering I need, but every now and then.
So I do have one from the original sale that Right Stuff did on here. The rest of them are filed away in boxes. Now this one is one that I wanted to get, and it was one that went out really quickly. I think they've restocked it since, but it came out. It went out real quickly and disappeared. And that was the Reborn Special Disc.
Reborn.
So I've got the whole series because that got re-released by, I think, same people, Eastern Star.
Right.
It's like Discotheque.
Right.
And I had to get this. It has a couple of a new dub. So I'm guessing that they are going to be re-releasing it soon with that new dub. But it also has a couple of it has some OVA episodes on it. So it's kind of cool to have it. Reborn is a shonen series about this kid who turns out to be related to this mafia boss who basically is retiring, and he's going to be the potential successor, and he's being taught by this mini hitman Reborn, who is down here.
Yeah.
And he forms his own gang and all of that. And it's interesting. I've read the manga. It's another one I've actually read all the way through, oddly enough. And I have watched most of the anime. I haven't watched all the anime. There's a lot of episodes.
That Rosie that just walked away?
Yep.
Hey, Rosie.
There's a lot of episodes in that anime. It's kind of interesting because one of them, I can't remember which one does it. One of the series just throws all the gag stuff at the beginning. And as soon as it finishes with the gag episodes, it just gets all serious and no gag episodes from there on out. And then the other one kind of intermixes the gag stuff in between. And I can't remember whether it was the manga or the anime that did that. But I'll have to rewatch. But I remember that's like, man, they need to really disperse it because it got really heavy and action heavy for a long time after that. But still, fun series. Fun series.
Good deal. So now we're back to what he set up a couple of things back. And these two, I'm kind of surprised I haven't presented, but again, I've had stuff piling up for months now, and these have been sitting around for a while. And if I presented them, I'm sorry, but they were in the pile, so I'm going to assume I have not. And the first one, you were talking about Friday the 13th fan films.
Yes.
And ones that I think had a Kickstarter attachment. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe our friend Forrest Bennett was involved with this one.
Yes.
And this is one called Victim No More.
Yes. I have a shirt for that.
Yes. And this was quite good. I enjoyed it. And I'm very glad to have a copy. I like to, I'm not big on the Friday the 13th overall, but it was nice to have and good to support friends and so forth. And
yeah, I had to get it because Forrest was in it too. Yeah. Well, it's because I had pasta. That smells like chicken, I guess.
Pasta.
But furball.
So, this next one is another anime, which I got off of what was it?
Are you live or something?
Yep, we are live.
Oh well, shit.
So which I got off of the Amazon Prime sale. Matter of fact, every single one of the rest of these I got off of that Amazon Prime sale.
Oh, okay.
Because they had some good anime deals.
Good deal. I missed that sale.
And they offered this one for $20 apart, which allowed me to get a full season. Because I usually don't get them for $50, $52 for half a season like Crunchyroll does. So I finally went ahead and I got season 1 of Spy Family.
Nice.
Now, Spy Family is this thing about you got this spy, Lloyd.
Lloyd Forger.
Yeah, Lloyd Forger. And he ends up having to find this guy, but he has to pretend to have a family to get this girl into the school to try and, or get a kid, basically, into the school to befriend the son of the guy he's trying to get it in touch with. So he ends up adopting Anya here, and also ends up getting the wife, who's actually an assassin for the government he's infiltrating, to be his wife. And they form this very interesting family unit.
And you can't forget their dog, Bond.
I'm trying to think if Bond appeared in the first season. I think he did.
Yeah, he wasn't right away, and I haven't seen the show, but in the manga, I think he showed up in the 3rd or 4th volume. So
yeah, dog that can read the future. It's a very fun one. I really enjoyed this series from what I've seen of it. I am glad it's popular enough. I'm sure that season 2 will get a physical. I'm sure the movie will get a physical. You got to watch the movie.
I got to see the movie, and I've read the manga up to a point. I have yet to see an episode of the show, though.
So, and the show, and I've never read a chapter of the manga. So you see, there we go.
It's a good fun series.
I've seen the first 2 seasons of the show. I haven't seen the movie.
Okay.
And I haven't read any of the manga. You've read a portion of the manga, and you've seen the movie. So therefore, together we've got almost everything there.
It's kind of like how I've seen Band of Brothers, and you've seen the Pacific, but we have not.
I gotta remedy that. I've got Band of Brothers.
Yeah, same here. I have both of them.
And those nice tens.
Yeah. So anyway, and my next one is one that I backed on Kickstarter. In fact, I was very, very, very happy about it. I did not expect a physical release, and when I saw it on Amazon, I was like, "Holy shit!"
I know which one you're talking about.
This is actually a really decent documentary. There's a lot of personal reasons why I backed it, but I was really happy to see it released. And it's called Tipping the Pain Scale. And it's a documentary about the opioid crisis, and more specifically about what people are trying to do to address the issue.
And a Gravitas release.
Yes. And yes, it's probably my only Gravitas Ventures release. I remember from our days talking about upcoming releases that they have the weirdest freaking price scales.
I was going to say, their pricing structure was weird. It was either really expensive or oddly cheap.
It was weird. This was not expensive. I got it on Amazon for, I think, $15 or $16, which is not bad. That's in addition to whatever I put into the Kickstarter, but I don't mind doing that. It is a good documentary. Anyone who's interested in the subject or curious about it could do worse than to check this out. And very happy to have it in the collection. I will one of these days have to give it another look. Might even be a contender if we do another documentary month on the movie channel, So we'll see.
You never know.
Did you get around to watching it? I felt like you did, but I can't remember.
I think I did for the Versus Awards that year. But yeah, and I have that physical copy.
Did you?
Yeah, I have that exact one. You stole it from me. But
Amazon lied to me.
But as far as things go, yeah, well, I mean, you'll be the one picking the theme for January, so
Okay.
It's always possible.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Animu again. This one also was cheap. I think it was like $10 or $12. And I was like, okay, I don't have this one. I've got the first 2 seasons of this series, and it's a pretty decent isekai series. The first season, I really liked. The second season, I'm like, it's all right. The direction it went in was kind of weird, but I was willing to go with it. This one I've not seen yet. I haven't seen the movie. And that is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, the movie Scarlet Bond.
Ah.
So I have not seen the movie yet. So I am looking forward to seeing this. It's a fun series. I really did enjoy it. It's about this guy who is who dies, and he has his last regrets, and he wants to be be able to adapt to anything. And he ends up being reincarnated as a slime, which has the ability to basically devour and adapt to anything he's devoured. So he ends up taking over a monster village, and eventually ends up fighting God, essentially. But it's an isekai series. It's what you get. And it's actually a good one. I mean, there are a lot of isekais. That's one that there's a lot of bulk of. We're in the isekai golden age right now because there's like at least 4 or 5 of them that seem to release every freaking week. So you're spoiled for choice. Good, bad, ugly, lots of isekai. But as far as this is concerned, this is definitely one of the good ones.
Good deal. Well, my next one is not an isekai, but it has a title that is sort of a journey. We were talking earlier about Kino Lorber, and this is one I just picked to kind of beef up the numbers a little. I picked one of my recent Kino pickups. I thought this was a conversion, but I don't think I actually owned this, so that might have been a first-time purchase. But it's a classic comedy from back in the day, 1966 to be precise, starring Zero Mostel and Phil Silver, and of all people, Buster Keaton, and called "A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum." It was fun. If I remember correctly, essentially it was about a Roman slave who gets into shenanigans, and I think that's kind of the nutshell of it.
Yeah, that was one of George's favorite films at one time.
Yeah, and again, I could have sworn I had it, but I guess I didn't.
It was one of the last films I bought at Costco.
Yeah, but it was on Kino's sale. Even whether it was a conversion or not, it's not going to take up a lot of space. And I did enjoy this when I saw it. It's been years since I've seen this movie, so don't know if it'll hold up on second or I think I only saw it once. One of these days I'll see it again. But now I know it's in the collection.
So one I was on the fence about, but Amazon made it really cheap. I said, you know what? I'll do it. Because I do like the story of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know what to think about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So I said, you know what? I'll give this a try because it was gotten down for cheap. So I went ahead and picked up Wonka. It was on my thing because I really am fascinated with the world of it and the world building. And Roald Dahl did a great job with the series itself. And the movie makers did a good job of adapting some of the more troubled issues with the Roald Dahl stuff into something that's a little bit more socially acceptable. Mm. The fact that the books were not socially acceptable when they made Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory can tell you how they were.
Yeah.
So, but I am looking for this as a prequel from what I've heard. Have you seen this one?
Yes, I have.
Was it good?
Yeah, it's quite good. Wonka is he's much more likable in the film. It is one of the few movies I've seen. I firmly believe Timothée Chalamet is vastly overrated. It's actually one of the few films I've seen him in that I actually really liked him in the role. I still think it was incredibly inappropriate that they cast Hugh Grant to play the Oompa Loompa, but Grant has a lot of fun with the role, and he is quite enjoyable. It's a good movie. It could have been better, but
Hugh Grant has showed me over the recent years, over the last decade, how versatile he truly is.
He's become a lot more versatile. I think he was sick and freaking tired of playing the same role. I think
he was trapped in the kind of bumbling romantic comedy lead for the longest time.
Right. So my last one's a biggie, and I'm going to be cheating a little bit because I'm really bundling a bunch of stuff into one, but it's all the same franchise. It all came to me in the same moment. It's all a response to, I think, the last pickup video we did. So I'm going to go ahead and go with it. And I foolishly forgot to have, what am I trying to say? I can't words right now. Something to show. What is it I want to say was something to show? Props. There we go. Props. So I don't have the big, awesome, super fancy box that Brandon showed off for Kogias, Lelouch of the Rebellion. But I do have these really nice Bandai Anime Legends releases that, as I said earlier in the video, I may want to convert these to Blu-ray one day. But I feel like they're collector's editions. I kind of want to keep them. But I never did get around to getting the rest of the franchise. That has been remedied with this nice collector's edition, apparently. It looks like it is. Of the spin-off Akito the Exiled and the 2 Steelbook movie sets, the Lelouch of the Rebellion trilogy and Lelouch of the Resurrection, which is an alternate ending to the tale. And all told, this Gios collection, again, nowhere near as awesome as that ridiculously large box that he has, but it did allow me to get these, so that's nice.
Hey, you got it in barter.
Indeed.
A really cool steel books in exchange for taking care of Mr. Anderson here.
I was getting ready to say Anderson's right there in Blanche behind you.
Too, and there's one under my feet. So
I was going to say, if only Rose was in frame, it would be perfect timing. But anyway, I know not everyone loves this series. In fact, we may be discussing it next year, and I know our group will have mixed feelings about it. Personally, I think it's Death Note light, but I liked it so much better than Death Note.
Oh, it had a better ending than Death Note. And
What's that?
It had a better ending than Death Note.
Oh, yeah. Well, Lelouch is much less of a douche than Yagami is, than Light Yagami is. Gios also has one thing in common with Full Metal, in that there are a couple of characters who get royally screwed in a way that pissed me off.
Well, there's one scene.
We talked about Maze Hughes earlier in this one. And of course, anyone who's seen Full Metal knows about Nina Tucker, because that happened really early. Gios has a couple of characters that one of them is actually Lelouch is not intentionally screwing over either one, and yet it's still by his hand. And it just I thought it was an interesting series, and I hope we do get to talk about it eventually.
There is a scene that's one of my favorite scenes for how messed up it is, where one of the female characters ends up basically being led by Lelouch to commit a bloodbath atrocity.
Yeah.
That scene, oh my God.
She accidentally commits genocide at his direction, and he did not intend it. It was just, yeah.
That was a scene right there. That scene stuck with me even after I'd seen it years later. Last one for me.
Yeah.
Now, this is one that I kind of was iffy about. I saw it on Netflix.
Yeah.
And then I was really upset because they ran out of money and they couldn't finish the episodes. But then they managed to find the money and they did finish the episode and got through the end of season 1.
Woo!
And then they also released a live action adaptation of a film of it right alongside it. And what I'm talking about is Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, which they only had for like $20 on Amazon Prime.
Oh.
I'm like, 12 episodes for $20 in a series I really like and want?
Nice.
Yes, please. And this is a great series. This is essential. This is one I would definitely, I'd even recommend this to Jacob because you like Zombieland, and this has a lot of Zombieland energy to it, but just anime style Zombieland. And essentially, you've got this dude who's working at one of these black companies. And those are the kind of companies in Japan that will basically work you until you die. And he is just miserable.
So not what certain people mean when they say black companies.
No. And he has worked, and he is like, the life is out of him. He has given up on all. And then he wakes up to go to work one day, and it's the zombie apocalypse. Suddenly, he is struck with what most people would think would be horror at first, but then you realize he is truly overjoyed because he no longer has to go to work. So he creates a list, a bucket list, which he's going to have 100 things on, which he didn't quite have 100 when at the end of this, but basically 100 things to do before I become a zombie.
Huh.
And he's trying to live life to the fullest and get the best out of his life. And he's running into some of these survivors. Like, one of them is his friend who wants to be a comedian. That's the blonde guy in the back. One is this kind of girl who is just all serious and geared for survival. She's the one in like the sports bra and gym shorts there. And then you've got the American girl who was a fan of Japanese history so much that she went to Japan right before the thing went and decked herself off in old samurai armor and uses samurai swords. And this is, I mean, I think this is what High School of the Dead should have been, because High School of the Dead had a lot of good things going for it, but was too mixed in its way of trying to present. It wanted to be a very serious, horrific zombie drama, but it also wanted to be a sexy comedy anime harem at the same time. And I'm sorry that those two, serious horror is not the same as comedy sexy anime, especially when you add zombies in it. Choose one, stay in that lane.
Right.
Because I'll admit, High School of the Dead started out freaking awesome. It would have been, if it had kept that tone, it would have been one of my favorite anime horror series of all time. But it didn't. It had weird boob physics of of her boobs dodging bullets. It had the sexy nurse doing weird bubble bath takes as zombies are going on. It just jumped the shark. This, however, it never actually tried to be serious. It's over the top, and you expect it to be over the top. There is a freaking zombie shark, which, when it can't get in the tank, it eats zombies, and the legs come out of the bottom. And so now you've got a zombie shark with zombie legs coming after.
And they have to jump over it.
You know what? It could be a jump in the shark. It is truly a great series. If you haven't watched it, definitely, it's on Netflix. All 12 episodes. It is well worth your time.
Spirit keeps trying to be on the show too, but he's not coming up into the screen.
So with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this.
Yes.
We're not
a long haul, folks, but
we're not going to do ones this big very often. But, and I'm hoping that once I'm finished with Dave's film, we'll be back to doing regular filming again. But until then, we've got tabletop horror to keep you occupied. Right. Lord knows we spent a lot of time doing that one. Yeah. So, check that out. That's we did Heart of the Warrior, the next one. I mean, shoot, a Spanish D&D related film. And it really is D&D related. I mean, you can vouch for it.
Yeah, it is.
So you should check it out. But any case, let us know below anything that you picked up that's kind of fun. Was there anything that you saw here that you're like, ooh, yeah, I gotta get that? Did you get anything on the Amazon Prime sale or Shocktober or any of that? Let us know. And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
And